Welcome to Manhwa Recaps, spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. Huge shout out and special thanks to the channel members. The manhwa starts with a man calling out to his younger brother, who is named Shoho. Shoho asks what he called him for, and his older brother tells him that he wants him to take the merchant group leader position. Shoho is surprised, saying that's his rightful position as the eldest child. Since he's the youngest, it doesn't make sense for him to take it. His older brother says that he's much more talented in this field than he is, and he's the reason they were able to become one of the 3 greatest merchant groups when they always used to be a small one. Shoho looks anxious, saying that he actually likes not having responsibilities. He likes not having responsibilities and lounging about, and if he takes over being the leader, then he'll have to attend dinners with business partners and play along with everything, and then he'll just be the one getting all the hate if the merchant group's image worsens, so he doesn't want to do it. His brother sits there in silence, and Shoho wonders if maybe he overspoke. He stands up as his brother lets out a sigh, saying that he's fine and that they can do as he wishes. We see his eyes full of warmth for his brother, only for a harsh, cold transition to his head driven onto a pike. Everything has been burned down, and all of the things that his family and he built are now being erased. The guard that had protected him all of his life, his second brother, the finance pavilion's Mr. Jang, the breeze pavilion's Mr. Lim, the generals, the Silver Wind squad, and even the Sunset Pavilion leader. Everybody that he has known now lays dead right before him, as we see his arm missing. He's also in a very bad way, and we learn that his full name is Yoon Shoho, and he is a part of the Yunya merchant group. His eyes though are not filled with somebody who's giving up, as he's looking forward at his attacker, who we learn is named Namgung Kang, the White Heaven merchant group leader. He puts his blade to Shoho's throat, saying it's a shame to have to kill him. Shoho questions Kang, saying that he thought his merchant group was under the Murim alliance, and if it's really okay for him to be doing this when he's supposed to represent the Orthodox. Kang says the higher-ups have heard about how he has been getting in the way of their business. That's why he should have stayed in his lane. All of this was over money. Shoho says they're the ones who lost to them because they were less skilled, and that they still are trying to blame them for the fact they're horrible businessmen. Kang looks annoyed, and Shoho asks him if he's gone deaf, and charges at him while imbuing his hand with aura. Kang kicks him in the chest, causing him to fall to the floor, saying that he shouldn't let his guard down with him. It's because he's dangerous that they are going to take down the Yunya merchant group. He raises his sword, telling him goodbye before slicing through his neck, sending his head flying through the sky. As Shoho sees his body from above, he wonders if everything was in vain, and if the lives of everybody held no weight in the grand scheme of things. If only he had begun learning martial arts at a younger age, and if only his merchant group had expanded more, then perhaps they would not have had to die. As everything fades to black, while feeling extremely sleepy, he opens his eyes after hearing somebody call out to him. They yell, making him jolt awake, saying they understand that he's not in the greatest state. Shoho starts tuning them out, wondering what's going on and if this is the afterlife. Shoho just can't see too well or hear, and he wonders why his vision and hearing are so bad right now. All he sees is a blur in front of him, and he says that if he is still alive, then this man must be Kang, as he rears back his fist, going in for a punch, which the man sidesteps, and then hits him straight on the head with a stick of love, asking him if he's still dreaming. Shoho says this feeling is familiar, and that this man is not Kang, and this is the chief of internal affairs, named Yuso-Ah. Shoho says that he's supposed to be long dead, wondering how he's alive and if he's in hell. So-Ah asks if he's still not awake yet, and all of his years of teaching the 3 young masters not wanting to try to punch him, so he must be very special. Shoho tells him it's because he wasn't fully awake and it's a mistake. So-Ah scolds him, telling him to go to his room. He sits in his thinking chair, facing the wall, still vividly imagining the moment he just died. He starts reflecting on his past, saying that this was the first task he got when he began learning about their business, which is to analyze last year's harvest supply, and that he remembers this lecture pretty vividly. While confused, he wonders about something. He calls out to someone named Dong-am, as we see his personal guard hanging from the ceiling. He asks how old he is right now, and she asks if he got hurt that badly. He says to just tell him, so she says that yesterday was his 15th birthday. He's surprised, asking if she's certain, because he's 39 years old. She says that first he tried to punch the chief, now he's asking about his age, and that they should call a physician to look after him. She knows that there's something wrong with his mental health. Still in disbelief, he's looking at his hands, saying that his skin has no blisters and he really is back to being young. He slaps his face extremely loudly, which catches her off guard, and she asks what he's doing. He says it hurts, and she says of course it does, asking if he's stupid. He says that he's dead though, so he doesn't understand what is going on exactly. All the memories from when he died are so vivid, because for him, they were just moments ago. He's just confused, but he understands that he's come back to the past, but the massacre really did happen to him. All because of others' greed. He starts to grit his teeth, saying he won't let it happen again. She asks if he has to go take a shit or something, because he's straining his face, but he's still just recalling all the incidents from his past life, saying that he knows how to overcome these situations as well, and he'll use that knowledge to become stronger so that they can stand up against the Alliance. He then says that now that he thinks about it, he asks if she said that yesterday was his 15th birthday. She says yes, and then he starts to count what year it is and laughs, saying this is bad, and there's only a week remaining until a certain incident. He calls out to her once more, and she asks what he wants, and now he says that there's something they have to do without anybody else figuring out. She asks what it is and says that he really must be going through puberty, but he tells her that it has nothing to do with it. Elsewhere, somebody begins burning a hidden note. Someone else asks if he's sure about this. He says there's no way he wouldn't be, as the youngest has begun learning the business, and he heard that the guard he has is also a pretty skilled martial artist. They just ask if he can really do it stealthily. The man says there's no way he would be scared of a kid who's dying from a disease. Not only does he not know martial arts, he can't even walk without a cane. He has a plan on what to do with the guards, so they shouldn't worry. If anything happens, he'll just kill all the witnesses. The man laughs, saying that he once served them as masters though. He says that the Union Merchant Group's youngest is just fated to die early, and if he can cut down on his suffering, it would just be another form of serving the family once more, and that he's waiting for his death right as they speak. Meanwhile, we hear Eun calling out to Shoho, as he's being carried through the snow by another man, and she wonders what they are doing. He reminds her that he's very fragile, so he needs to get some exercise in. She says that he's not doing anything since he's getting carried, but he ignores her, saying they might come across something nice if they go around here. She asks like what? He says for example, as he's looking through his spyglass, he spots what he's looking for, as it is the best miracle medicine here in Zhongyuan. We get a flashback to his past life right as the attack started. Eungam's begging that he escape from this place. He asks where he could possibly go without her, and she says this is her duty. She's been living for this very purpose, and that she's okay. He just needs to live. As long as she dies here, and he lives, it means that it wasn't in vain, which is enough for her. He tries to persuade her, but she says that he's never listened to her ever since they were young, asking if he's really going to render her death worthless. She calls him a brat. Men barge into the room. She immediately draws her blade, telling Shoho that he must survive. She knows he'll soar far beyond, asking if he understands, and she gives him one last warm glance. He says that if he were to name 2 people from his last life that he could trust, and he's looking at her in his present life, and she asks what he's looking at. One of them would be his guard, Eungam, and the other would be his servant, Palgap, who's the dude carrying him. He says what he's looking for right now is a miracle medicine that will cause a bloodbath in the near future, and that these 2 are the only ones he can trust, and to search for the medicine. She asks what exactly they're looking for, and he says that surely she sees it, as he points towards the tree, saying it's right there. It's a miracle medicine of yin energy, comparable to the 10,000-year snow ginseng. It's the pure icy snow plum. As she's looking at it, she finally sees it, asking what it is. He says that it's a medicine that will cure him of his condition. She asks if he's sure, and says that it's dangerous to use a miracle medicine they don't know much about. They have plenty of ones at home already. He says that they aren't going to do, as his condition isn't just a simple meridian collapse. He suffers from the mysterious dragon star physique. It is a unique physical condition where one is born with extremely strong yin energy. In case of women, they can naturally handle the strong yin energy very well, and go on to become martial masters. But for men, the yin energy collides with the yang energy, slowly killing them. The only way to overcome this is to consume a miracle medicine containing yin energy during adolescence to convert the body's yang into yen. He learned about this too late in his past life, and it was impossible to get the pure icy snow plum. Eun asks if he's still not going to explain what's going on. He tells her that she should just accept what he says without him explaining for now, as he begs her. She sighs, as she doesn't know who exactly he takes after, but he never listens to his guardians. She dashes forward, saying that she'll be quick. As she starts to dash forward, Shoho and Palgap start being cheerleaders for her. He says that he can't say he'll become stronger than her, but he'll become as strong as he can, so in this life, at least she won't have to die for his sake. As she stands before the tree, she says it's so high up, making her low-key annoyed. A few days later, we see some people welcoming Shoho. He also waves towards Eun and Palgap. She says that she's had a cold for days because of him. The men instantly approach her, saying that surely she thinks that the young master has been different lately, as there's more energy in springing the steps. They also say that he's become taller or something, because he used to be so small. The guy says that he thought he was the only one who noticed. A little girl says that his face has changed too. He was pretty to begin with, but now he's like one of the most beautiful men around here. But she feels like the way he talks is more of an old man. She keeps talking about how handsome he is, but Eunam's disassociating. She says that she's talking about the young master like that despite him not even being 20, and that she should get back to work. The dude says that he's practically an adult now too. She says that recently he took their miracle medicine they picked up from the mountains, and went through body reconstruction. That's part of what everybody's noticing, but she's trying to keep it quiet, because Shoho told them to. She says it's obvious he's changed, and she just wonders how long he'll insist on hiding it, because it sure is frustrating. Palgap says that as long as he's healthy, he's fine with it, and Eun agrees, but says that if he gets sick again, she's going to kill him. At the finance pavilion, we see a guy wondering how Shoho managed to do all of this within 2 hours, as it should take at least 2 days, and if he really read all of this properly. We are introduced to the rank 7 member of the finance pavilion named Yo Chang Ui. Shoho wonders how to explain it to him, saying that it isn't as if he wrote documents entirely from scratch, he just summarized everything. It wasn't all that difficult, as he is now currently a temp member of the finance pavilion. He says that he should have pretended harder to be an amateur, as he's done this kind of thing in his past life for such a long time, and his improved condition just accelerated the speed. Chang Ui calls out to him, saying it might come off as rude, but even the smallest work in the finance pavilion should be done with the utmost care. The flow of finance as an emerging group is akin to blood in a human's vein, and if the information were to leak out, he wonders what he'll do. Shoho is surprised, asking if he's saying that he finished this early because he rushed them without doing it properly. Chang Ui says that he did them far too quickly, plus just a few days ago he fell asleep during work and punched towards Soa. There's no way someone like that could have done this work well. Shoho says it's obvious what he's thinking. Then asks if he would like to make a bet then. Chang Ui asks about what, and Shoho says that he'll turn them into Soa right now, and they should bet on whether or not he gives it a pass. Chang Ui says that he's going to make a really big deal out of it, asking if he's sure of it. But that he is due for a lesson, seeing his arrogance, and asks what they are betting on. Shoho says the loser will take care of all the remaining documents for today. He agrees, and Shoho continues, saying that on top of that, the loser will do the 02 dance during the announcement ceremony for his eldest brother, asking what he thinks. I guess it's a traditional dance in this universe. Chang Ui looks pissed, asking if he's really screwing around, and decides to agree with it because he's just angry. Another man enters, named Sung, saying that he thinks he's getting a little too old for this. Chang Ui barks at him, telling him to stay in his own lane. The dude walks away, saying he's the senior though, and they both agree to the deal. A little later, we see Soa reading and asking if Shoho really did this on his own, since most pavilion leaders would be incapable of doing this kind of work. Chang Ui begins sweating nervously, telling him to take a better look, as there must be a mistake. Soa asks if he's really questioning him. Chang Ui says that he's never given him someone who's worked at the finance pavilion for years a pass, so how can he be so lenient towards the young master? He hits him with a stick of love, asking if his glasses are just for decoration. Shoho says that it's not that he's particularly lacking in skill, it's just that his standards are really high. He then walks towards Chang Ui, saying that it's time for him to do the dance, as he's looking forward to it. As he goes to leave, Chang Yui tells him to wait, but Shoho slams the door, feeling really happy about himself. We hear a man saying that he seems to be in a good mood, and Shoho turns as the man continues, saying that all he does is make their parents and older brother worry because of his health, yet he's going around giggling, and he calls him a bastard. We are introduced to the second son, named Jinho. Shoho recalls his head also being dismembered, laying on the ground, and he looks at him with eyes full of worry, calling out to his brother in a friendly tone. Jinho asks why he's being so friendly, saying this is weird. He realizes that they were on bad terms at this time, and Jinho says that he was also against him learning the business, and that it would only further worry father if he got sicker from strenuous work. Shoho says that he's not exactly wrong, and Jinho tells him that when he goes to see father later, he shouldn't go showing off, because if he passes out like last time, he's going to kill him. Shoho says alright, and that he'll be careful. Jinho tells him that he does not like him, and slams the door behind him. Shoho says that's the first time seeing his father and brother ever since he's come back, and that there really is so much that he's got to show them to make them feel proud. We get another flashback to his past life of somebody being burned alive. He says according to his past life, a fire will break out in the finance pavilion in a few days. Because of that fire, a low-ranking pavilion official who was on duty at the time died, and all of the documents were burned to ashes, resulting in a massive loss. That was an arson that was planned by somebody. Back to the present. Chang Yui looks pissed while doing some paperwork. Shoho says to prevent that arson from happening, he has to have the freedom to move as he pleases. Chang Yui asks why he's staring at him, and Shoho says it's nothing, and he's leaving. And that he needs to change how others perceive him. He heads to the main estate as he's sitting at a dinner table with his brothers. We are introduced to the first son named Jongho, asking Jinho how his work is at the Sunset Pavilion, saying it must be quite different from the Breeze Pavilion. Jinho says it's easier for him since he doesn't have to use his brains, and he thinks field work does suit him better. Shoho sits there in silence until Jongho asks if he's also started doing practical training at the Finance Pavilion. Shoho says yes, and Jongho continues saying that learning is good, but he shouldn't rush it, as he's worried he might overdo it. Shoho tells him not to worry, as he's working within his limits. And that his brother has always been super sweet to him, even in the past. Which is why he never wants to see that side of him again in this life. Jinho says that's nonsense, asking what he means by within his limits. And there's nothing he can do besides lay in bed and eat, considering his condition. Jongho tells him that this is no way to talk to his brother, and Shoho says that he sure is a little twisted. Jinho says it's always because of others covering for him that he doesn't know, asking how long they have to pour their efforts into looking after him when he's just a bird in the household. Jongho tells him he's going too far. Jinho insists, saying that they all know this. All he does is cough up blood and walk around with a cane, and there's nothing he could possibly do within their merchant group. Shoho says that even if he's an adult, hearing this still stings, but this is his own resolve. He calls out to his brother in a very loving tone once more, and he starts to get embarrassed, but Shoho tells him that since father is about to arrive, they should stop here, and he's sure father will be thrilled, and his father would definitely not like to walk into this pathetic scene. He tells Jongho to calm down as well, and Jongho admits that he got a little worked up, and he says that even though he's always known that he's sharp, he feels oddly mature today. They are then told that their father has arrived, and Shoho looks surprised, and immediately his eyes and face begin to relax, and his eyes look really warm as he's looking towards his father. The other brothers greet him as well, and their father apologizes for being late, and they tell him that it's alright since they just sat down themselves. He tells Shoho his face looks red today, wondering if he's unwell. Shoho begins tearing up, saying that's not it. The reason his face has turned red is because he saw the image of him dying in his past life, and it was a scene he'll never forget. His father then asks if there's something he would like to say, and we learn that his father's name is Gilsong. He says the reason he got so worked up is because he overlapped that moment with his current youthful appearance. He tells himself to get a grip, and this is the kind of emotional display that isn't like him, as nothing has happened in his life so far, and just thinking about the merchant group should be his goal. He manages to reclaim himself, saying that his father saw it right through him, and he has something to tell him. His father wonders what it is, and says that they should sit down before they talk. Shoho asks if he remembers the conversation they had before he began learning the operations of the finance pavilion. His father says of course, because he was born frail, he doesn't take on physical responsibilities and only learned an overview of the work before completing his training. Shoho asks if this is really okay. Someday, he too will have to lead the members. Then Jin-ho wonders why he's saying something like this. His father puts his chopsticks down, saying it's a valid point, asking what he wants to say. Shoho tells him he wants to take on all duties, including night shifts, just like his older brothers and other members. Gilsong tells him that he will not permit it. Shoho just sits there blankly as Jin-ho tries to hold back his laughter. Shoho asks if that's not too harsh of a rejection. His father says that what can't be done simply can't be done. Especially night duty. It requires staying up all night managing night security, and with his condition, that's not possible. Everything else is fine, but not night duty, asking if he understands. Shoho says that won't do. To prevent a fire from breaking out of the finance pavilion, he must be on night duty the day of the incident. He says that if he can prove that he's physically capable, if he would change his mind. His father says of course, but asking how he would do that. He says that he'll spar with Jin-ho, which catches Jin-ho off guard. Even Jong-ho wonders if they laced his food with something to have this kind of thought. His father's also just taken aback, but Jin-ho starts to look a bit pissed, asking if he's out of his damn mind. Shoho laughs, asking what's wrong, and if he's afraid he'd win. Jong-ho asks what he thinks he's doing, but Shoho says that there's no problem, and that since everybody's worried about his health, it would be easier to prove himself. He understands that Jin-ho had recently become a first-class martial artist. If he can hold his own against him, that would prove that he's capable of handling all of the duties at the finance pavilion. Jin-ho starts to try to hold back his anger, saying that his words make sense, asking if he would please allow him to spar, as we see his hands trembling. Jong-ho tries to plead with him, but he says that he should let it go, because Shoho needs to learn to take responsibility for his words, and everyone must face trial sooner or later, and it seems that time is now for Shoho. Shoho says that he really doesn't think that he has a chance of winning, and that's to be expected. Gilsong says that there's such a massive gap between them, if he can endure for even 1.5 minutes, he'll give him permission to take on all duties, including night duty, asking if he agrees. Shoho thanks him for the opportunity, but Jong-ho sighs in disbelief that they're going along with it. He says that if it's too dangerous, to surrender, as there's no shame in that. Shoho says he'll keep it in mind, but honestly, he doesn't think that's going to be necessary, and we see Jin-ho is just furious. Sometime later, at the sparring grounds, we see them standing across from each other, and Eung-am and Palgap are there as well. Eung-am asks why the hell Shoho is on stage, saying that he was barely even able to stand not too long ago. Shoho tells her to be quiet, as Palgap tells her he'll be fine. She says he better be, and Jong-ho asks their father if he's not worried. He says there's nothing to be concerned about. Jong-ho says that Jin-ho has always openly looked down on Shoho, and he fears he might not hold back. His father says that that might just be the way he sees it, as Shoho smiles towards his brother. Gilsong says that they should just watch, and see how this plays out. Eung-am just wonders why they're suddenly having a duel, saying that everybody's gone crazy, and that he's not considering anybody else's perspective. He's just trying to act all sexy, making her wonder if he might be possessed. These are her words. Gilsong orders her to sound the drum, which startles her, and he tells her once more to sound it. She looks anxious, but says that she hopes Shoho wins, and she slams it. Jin-ho tightens the grip on his sword and looks directly towards Shoho, saying that he's a bastard who does not even know his place. Shoho also readies his weapon, and Jin-ho continues monologuing, saying that being born the youngest, he received too much love growing up, so he must think that the entire world is beneath him, and that today is a duty he must perform as his older brother. He starts to move in, dashing directly towards Shoho, saying he's gonna teach him the ways of the world. We get a flashback to a young Jin-ho, as Gilsong laughs, saying he can't take his eyes off his younger brother. As he stretches his hand out toward him, they touch fingers, and he looks overwhelmed with cuteness. He tells his father that he's so small, and Gilsong says he needs to take good care of him in the future as his brother. Jin-ho asks why he has to be the one to do that. He's always expected him and his big brother to act as the older brothers, but he overlooks how the bastard never acts like a good son, and this is something that he cannot accept. He swings his blade towards Shoho as Shoho raises his sword to block it. He says that he doesn't know what level to receive the attack with, so he uses the 12th form, Snow Dragon Sword technique, called Traceless Steps, dashing past Jinho, leaving him completely surprised. A sweat starts to trickle down his head. Even Jongho is speechless, but Eungeum and Palgap are straight pogging. Shoho then tries to play it off with his corn-level acting, screams and trips, falling onto the ground. He then yaps a whole lot, which I'm not reading, as he's just acting like he can't use martial arts. Jinho's just pissed, asking if he's joking, saying that he just got lucky. He immediately jumps forward, swinging, but Shoho sidesteps. He follows up with another slice, which Shoho dodges backwards, and then he sidesteps yet another attack, which is a thrust. Jinho then starts to loosen his grip a bit, showing he's focusing, then swings forward, which Shoho again backsteps to avoid, and Jongho's in disbelief, asking how exactly he's moving like that. Gilsong watches intently and recalls how he warned Jinho not to take his sword lightly. He would never offer a duel with him without putting any thought into it, since he's the greatest genius within their merchant group, although he did say that he didn't know he'd be this good. And as informal as this duel is, he knows this isn't at full force. Dude needs to stop going full force.
Ah! Fuck! Dude! Fucking stop doing full force! Ah!
But still, Shoho, who couldn't even keep his balance, is holding up against Jinho, a first-rate master, for that long. If he learns under a proper master, he can't wait to see how much he'll grow. What he's worried about right now is not Shoho, but rather Jinho. Jinho starts to get pissed and wonders why exactly his blows aren't landing. He starts to feel frustrated. He heard that his brother was the greatest genius of their merchant group, so he wonders if he's going to take the title of the greatest martial genius from him as well. Then he calls him a bastard. You get a flashback to him peering around a corner, telling Shoho that the adults are all gone. And when he turns around, he sees Shoho on his hands and knees, with blood pouring out of his mouth and tears rolling down his eyes, and he immediately starts to feel panicked. We get another flashback to when he was being informed that the Chief of External Affairs is going to be teaching him martial arts. Jinho says that he wanted to be taught by his father, but his father says that his brother is very sick, and he needs to allow this. We can take care of him, as he is an older brother now. Shoho's condition worsened, as he began pulling blood out of his mouth too. Jinho looked worried and started to cry at the sight of his brother, but it's also because of guilt, as he fed him an elixir of yang energy by accident, and he tells his father that he just wanted his brother to get better faster. He didn't think it would be bad. His father brushed him aside, walking over towards Shoho, wondering how he is, but Jinho mistook it as him being cold towards him. He asked how the condition is, and they say it's not good. Even if he recovers, the internal injuries are too great. Jinho says ever since the beginning, all of the problems were caused solely by his brother being born weak, so why does he have to suffer? Shoho calls out to him in a warm tone, saying that family is very difficult. Jinho asks what bullshit he's talking about. Shoho says that since it's a closer relationship than any other, they must carry deep-seated bad blood, even while spending their lives together forever. Jinho asks what the hell he's yapping about. Shoho says that this is something he's heard once before, and Jinho says that he does not care. Jongho asks how much time is left, and Eungeum says around 9 seconds. Jinho begins to imbue aura onto his blade, saying that seeing that he's spouting bullshit, this must be easy for him. However, he won't let that stay the case. Gilsong yells, asking him what he's doing, saying he needs to put his feelings aside, as he charges in with aura wrapped around his blade. His father screams his name. Shoho sighs, asking why he calls it bullshit, saying that he doesn't know anything. Because these words that he's repeating weren't just random. That night, when their clan was getting slaughtered helplessly, these are words that he wrote in blood towards his brother, saying that when living with those thoughts, he forgets why he hated someone in the first place, and his hatred towards him is just like that. The powerlessness to do anything, the guilt he felt towards him, and the alienation that he felt because he was prioritized, all these things transformed into hatred towards him. But that isn't his younger brother's fault, and he's sorry for constantly bothering him because of these selfish feelings. And after postponing it, this is how he's finally apologizing, as he ties it to a bird's foot, and he sends it off. He tells his brother not to forgive him. Then he was struck down, killed. Shoho says that he can't do that, asking how that's solely his fault, as the attack comes straight towards his head. He says that they were all immature. He dodges underneath the attack, letting his sword get flown through the air. Everybody's surprised by this since he just let go of it. Jin-ho also wonders why he let go of the sword, wondering if there's more to it, but Shoho begins laughing, saying that he may have added sword chi, but it's the same attack as his first one, which is obvious. He then makes a fist and punches him in the chest, saying that he'll let it go with just this, as he gives him a light tap. Jin-ho stands there in disbelief, but so is every single person watching, since he actually managed to do it. The time is now completely run out, and as there was no victory within 10 minutes, this bet means that the young master has now won. At the finance pavilion, we hear So-ah asking Chang Yui if that means Shoho really won. Chang Yui says that it's a secret from the public. So-ah says of course, and the way he organized the materials too, he really is quite the steal, and he must get him as an assistant and put him to work for 24 hours a day. Bro has got some straight Diddy vibes. Sometime later after the fight, we see Jin-ho training, practicing his sword techniques. But also, we see his eyes are not as cold as they were previously. He recalls Shoho being deathly ill and all of the guilt that he felt, and how Shoho himself told him that family really is difficult. He lets out a sigh of frustration and throws his sword, saying that he's pissed. But we see his face looking totally relieved, and he says that's kind of what makes him more pissed, is that he's mad, but he also has that sense of burden being lifted. He calls out to the girl who we saw earlier, asking her what Shoho's doing right now. She says that he got dragged away by So-ah for some reason, and Jin-ho wonders why. Back to Shoho, we see him getting cornered. I knew this guy was a freak, and So-ah says that word is in the air that he can finally start taking on real duties. Shoho says technically that's true, asking what he wants. A woman kidnaps him, as So-ah tells her to follow him. He gives him the news that he's gonna be his assistant, and this has been approved by the merchant head already, so resistance is futile. Shoho says that the reason that So-ah died in his last life was actually overwork, nothing evil or sinister, but this guy might just be a freaky workaholic. Shoho begins sweating nervously, and we are introduced to his assistant named Jo Young. She tells Shoho not to worry too much, because just like her, he'll start to enjoy it soon enough. She is also a weirdo, and Shoho says that he's sorry, but he doesn't think that's gonna happen, as he blocks her acupoint. So-ah asks why, and Shoho says there's no way he can say it's because of the finance pavilion fire incident, as it happened between 3 and 5 a.m. To prevent it, he has to be on overnight duty on the day it occurs, but if he's dragged into working as this lunatic's assistant, he won't even be able to leave the office before midnight, let alone be on overnight duty, and there's no guarantee that he won't end up screaming and running away from being overworked just like his former assistants in his past life, and that's something that he definitely never wants to experience. He asks So-ah if he can be blunt. He says that he believes the true value of his field training lies not in the actual work itself, but in gaining a broad understanding of operations. Besides, he's only just started his training 2 days ago, and that there are more qualified candidates for this assistant role, and that he wants to learn the regular duties of the other staff, not receive special treatment. As Eung-im wakes up Young, Shoho continues, saying he's also heard that his assistant can't be assigned overnight shifts, and that overnight duty is the very heart of administrative work. It's a position where all the hardships and realities of staff work are concentrated. So-ah says that he understands his intentions, and Shoho thanks him, but that's not what So-ah meant, because he says that he's gonna handle both the regular and overnight duties together, and pretty much every other thing that he wants. Shoho can't believe how absolutely freaky this guy is, and starts running away as they start chasing after him. Eventually, the Silverwind squad apprehends him, because their main job is to actually detain escaping employees. 3 days later, he is assigned to the overnight staff, so is Chang Yui. Shoho says today's the day that the incident takes place, and he looks over at Chang Yui, saying that it happened the night he was on duty, and he's glad he remembers. But the problem is, he feels like he'll go crazy from how badly he wants to sleep. He feels like he's breaking his own limits every single day, and he didn't know a human could work this hard. As he's been chugging away at his version of coffee, which are called warmth pills, but thanks to the inner energy he got from the pure icy snow plum, he recovers quickly after some meditation and breathing exercises. But maybe because of that, they just keep sending more work his way, or he's just imagining things, but once this is over, he needs to get out of here no matter what, before he ends up crazy like Young, as we see she's begging to be overworked. Shoho calls out to Chang Yui, saying that he's gonna be counting on him for tonight's shift. Chang Yui says that likewise for him too, but before that, Shoho just needs to get through tonight safely. Somebody enters the room, and he looks up to see Chang Yui, saying that he wants to have some tea before they start. Shoho asks if he's not gonna have any, to which Chang Yui replies he's fine. They have a little bit of awkward silence, and Shoho calls out to him, saying that surely he didn't forget that he has something he must do for him. Chang Yui looks at him, then immediately looks down at his work, saying that he has no idea what he's talking about. Shoho asks if that's really the case, but Chang Yui is clearly just running away from it, even so much so that he stands up, saying he's gonna do his rounds. Shoho asks if he's gonna do it by himself, and Chang Yui tells him that would be for the best. Shoho can't believe that. Shoho watches him leave. Then he calls out for Am, but she doesn't answer. He wonders if maybe she's sleeping, but she tells him she's been here since earlier. He asks why she's always up in weird places, so she tells him it's just kind of a habit. He asks if she would like to have some tea with him. She asks what the occasion is. As she starts sipping it, she says it's a little bitter for her taste, and she told him not to let it boil for too long. She instantly falls asleep, and he says as expected, it had sleeping medicine in it. He puts her in a little comfy position, saying that he wants to pass out as well, but it's time for him to begin his patrol, and for him to catch the arsonist, as they should already be on the premises. The arsonist begins pouring oil onto the ground and throws the bucket away. He opens up the hidden note to start the fire, and we actually see that it's none other than Sung. Low-key forgot who this guy was since he's only appeared once. He begins smiling evilly as Shoho tells him he seems excited. He turns in a panic as Shoho closes the gap in an instant, taking the fire from his hand, saying that it really is burning well, and that he prepared quite thoroughly. As Sung begins glaring at him, he asks him how the hell he figured it out, and Shoho asks if he would believe him if he said he saw it from the future. Sung says that he clearly has no intention of telling him. Shoho asks if that's really what matters, since he was about to set fire to this place, and he caught him. That's more important. It starts with him snickering until he goes into full-blown laughter, saying that he's not wrong, and the rumors of his keenness were not exaggerated. But there's nothing he can do since he is alone. He brandishes a knife, and Shoho looks at it surprised and says that he is indeed still single, pretty much just toying with him. This makes him snap as he charges forward, telling him to die. Elsewhere, Chang Yui is walking through the pavilion. And he seems to be thinking about something, which is none other than Shoho, as Shoho asks if he has anything to tell him. Back to when Shoho asked if he had anything to say to him, it turns out that that's not all that happened. Whenever he thought about it, we just didn't get to see it, but he actually asked him how he did it. He passed the documents through the Chief of Internal Affairs in one go, and that's on just his second day of training. He's been working in the pavilion for over 3 years, yet never has he managed to do it, wondering what kind of sorcery he used. Shoho asks if this is why he's been acting so stiff all the time, which makes him embarrassed. Chang Yui asks when he was ever stiff. Shoho asks if he's crazy since he's been stiff the entire time, and that he doesn't think there's anything particularly special about him. He tried not only to complete the task given, but also read the intentions of poor keeping, and if he gets too caught up in the formality of the task, he ends up doing work for the sake of work. Shoho realizes he's talking like an old man, saying that he learned that from his father because it's something he said. Chang Yui realizes how narrow his mindset has been in size, saying this is kind of frustrating, but also humbling at the same time. Shoho says that it doesn't have to be, and that kind of emotion can also be fuel for growth, and this is also what his father's taught him. Chang Yui begins smiling, saying that he's going to go do his rounds now. And that's when Shoho asked if he would be by himself, to which he replied yes. Even though he's the blood of the merchant and group head, he never would have thought that a rookie would catch him off guard, and perhaps the future of the group really does rely on him, though he can be really annoying because he has to do that stupid dance because he lost the bet. Inside of the tonic room, Chang Yui says that a warm cup of tea is best when the break room isn't chaotic, and he should have just had the tea he made earlier. He then realizes something as there are oil stains all over the jar. Back to the fight, Sung spinning the blade in his hand, trying to stab Shoho, but he's missing as Shoho is sidestepping every attack. Shoho then says after having fought with Jinho, he's realized that fighting now is just way easier, as he hits him straight in the side of the cheek using the bamboo strike. Sung's teeth start to fly out, He wonders what the hell is going on, saying that he thought he was a sickly child who could die at any time, and he wonders how he's getting his shit rocked by a Make-A-Wish kid, and that he must be dreaming or something, as this can't be real. We get a flashback to him gambling. He says that he has a dead-end job and a dead end to life. Rather than him being born to live a meaningless one, that's better, he just bet it all on mahjong. He gets pissed, asking how they're scamming him like this, because he hasn't drawn a single good hand, and they obviously tampered with the tiles. It appears Eisen has made a cameo. They kick him out, telling him to come again, and he just wonders if his life's worth is really just one tile. That's when somebody approached him, saying that he sure is in a pathetic state, and Sung pleaded with him, saying that in the beginning he tripled the amount, and he saw it too, and that he can recover the losses no matter what, since he is part of the Yunya merchant group. The man says that he knows he's a capable member of the group, which is why he's proposing this, asking if he wants to work together again. Back to the present, he starts looking up, saying it's so pointless, and everything is, as he begins closing his eyes to accept his fate. Shoho slaps the piss out of him, saying that he didn't give him permission to fall asleep. This immediately wakes him the hell up, and Shoho says that he is not a human anymore. And when he is struck, he should only speak the truth, asking if he understands. Sung looks absolutely terrified. Just a little later, around 4 or 5 a.m., Shoho calls out to a group of people, saying that he wants to apologize for the noise so early in the morning, and he hopes they understand that he has his reasons. Surely they've received the message already, but they caught a man who was trying to set fire to the finance pavilion. They have confirmed that this was orchestrated by the Lotus Courtesan House, and that the Breeze Pavilion leader's water wheel was very helpful in getting a confession out of the culprit. Sung is begging now for death. Gilsong asks if he's certain that it was the Lotus Courtesan House. We see him looking pissed. Shoho says that he surely feels deeply betrayed, as the Lotus Courtesan House is one of the 5 greatest escort pavilions of Hubei, and they have been working with them for a very long time. We are introduced to the Breeze Pavilion leader named Jek Byeonkyul, who says that if he remembers correctly, the Lotus Courtesan House has quite a large outstanding sum they owed him, and that they were probably trying to erase any records of that debt by starting a fire. The Sunset Pavilion leader, Yun Dami, says that it would have been hard to figure out the culprit if they had succeeded. The Silver Wind Squad leader, named Go Ilpyeong, says that either way he is glad. If it weren't for Shoho, they would have all been still asleep, not even knowing about the fire. Shoho says that he's sure. Shoho says that not only that, but Chang Yui also would have been burned to death since he would have drank the tea with the sleeping pill if it weren't for him. He tells them that that's enough praise, and they should discuss what to do. Ilpyeong says that he's right, and they would expect someone as young as him to show off more, but it's not just him having these thoughts, as even Byeonkyul and Dami are just surprised that he's so calm and moving on without any hesitation, saying that he truly is talented. Soa raises his hand, asking if they can let him down from the tree first, as he doesn't feel good having him up there since he's a human. Shoho says that he never expected him to say this, but agrees. Soa walks over, asking him if he's okay. Sung says yes while thanking him, then he starts beating the shit out of him, saying that if he's awake, then he's ready for a beating, and that he was working late last night, but now he's up early because of him. Shoho starts taking everybody away, saying that they don't need to see this. As they head inside, he hits them with a crazy idea, that they should actually set the pavilion on fire. They all kind of stare at him in disbelief, and Soa asks what the hell he just said. Gilsong says that they should wait and listen to what he has to say, as this is his place of business. Dami laughs, saying it's a pretty impressive plan, and they're going to make them think that they succeeded. Shoho says that lies disturb the truth, and what is fake disturbs what is real, is the saying, and that they need to cover up the truth with a lie. They need to make the Lotus Courtesan House believe that their plan was a success, and then they will show their true colors to the mole. Byeonkyul says it makes sense, and so does everybody else, saying they agree. But Gilsong asks Soa what he thinks. He says there's no way they'd burn down a perfectly fine building, but since everybody's agreed with it, they will be setting the finance pavilion on fire. They do exactly that, as it's now ablaze behind him, and all of the documents were stored in a safe place with Ong-am. Shoho says that it's burning well, just like their estate in its past life, but this time it's different, as this fire is a stepping stone to the success of their merchant group. Although Soa will have to work a little harder for a while, they should give him a small vacation. At least for compensation. Shouho asks when the due date for the courtesan house fees were. Chang Yui says that next month on Buddha's birthday. Shouho says that they'll now let this marinate, and come back later, Guga Foods type shit and get money from elsewhere. It jumps to a whole month later, as they are now in Hubei. People are discussing the fire at the Yunya Merchant Group, and that it had all of the imported contracts and records, which were burned to ashes. Some of them worry about the Lotus Courtesan House, and that they are using the fire as an opportunity to not pay off their debt. We see the chief manager of the Lotus Courtesan House named Su Chong, saying that just because the documents were burned to ashes doesn't excuse them for paying their debts. The chief manager of the Lotus Courtesan House is asking how the master of the house cannot see this. He needs to stop it, as he greets the housemaster. As he's walking in, he hits somebody's hand laying on the floor, and he wonders what's going on, as there are women all over some being dead. The man is chugging and throws the bottle of alcohol on the ground, asking Suchong what's the matter, and if he's never seen a woman's corpse before. Suchong starts yelling at him, saying that the former housemaster banned this. The guy tells him that he wants to cut the lecture and get to the point, as he's making him just want to kill him. We are introduced to the housemaster of the Lotus Courtesan House named Beck Bok. Suchong says this dude is a crazy good for nothing, and he needs to quit. Then he mentions how he heard that they are not going to pay the fees he has for the Yunya group, and while they might have lost their documents, he's worried that this would be breaking the trust of an old business partner of theirs. Bok just looks annoyed, saying that it's already long past the due date, and he's sure it would have been a problem if they knew, and he should just get out of here. Suchong tries to plead with him, but Bok yells, saying that he already told him to get out. Suchong says that the former housemaster would never have done this. Bok looks pissed and fed up with it, telling him to come closer. Suchong does so, and he says that it should be around here somewhere, as Bok grabs a bottle and hits him over the head, causing him to start bleeding on the floor. Reminding him that he's the master of this house, saying that it's not his father, but him, and that all he's done is get in his way, asking if he can hear him or not, and that once this is all taken care of, they're going to be dealing with the Daoun Merchant Group, as their requests are a bit annoying sometimes. As he already knows, the Daoun Merchant Group is one of the 3 greatest merchant groups, and a direct affiliate to the Murim Alliance, and to the White Heaven Merchant Group. And if he just resolves this issue, he's sure that everyone who keeps comparing him with his father will shut up, and they won't have to work with the Yunya Merchant Group anymore. Rather, they could completely eliminate them instead. A man immediately yells out towards Bok. Bok asks if he wants to die for coming in here without permission. He apologizes, saying it's urgent, and that the Yunya Merchant Group is here with all of their guards. Bok is confused, wondering why it's out of nowhere. Gilsong says that nobody is going to stop them, even though they came here without making any announcement. Shouho says that he doesn't assume they pay their guards well when they don't even pay their business partners. And they sure are doing a great job at not running the place, and it seems like they are ready to greet their guests so they can go in. They barge straight in the door, saying they're here to collect their money. I knew this guy was a freak from the first panel we saw of him. Why is he licking his knife? Shouho starts swinging his club while humming, but Eungam just wonders why he's in such a good mood. Shouho then kicks the door open, saying that he's here for his damn money. Eungam and Ilpyeong realize he's happy about money, but Gilsong wonders when it became his money. Bok asks who the hell he is, and Shouho, surprised, looks down, seeing the woman's corpse on the floor. He tells Eungam to take care of it, and turns out they aren't dead, weird translation I guess, but he says that he thought that he was just someone who dodged debt, but it turns out that he's just a hopeless, good-for-nothing scumbag, and if the late housemaster saw this, he'd be so proud, as he says in a sarcastic tone. Bok pulls his sword out of the ground, walking toward Shouho, pointing it directly at his throat. Ilpyeong yells, but Gilsong stops him. Shouho says that if he's drawn his sword, he better come at him already, or if he's planning to yap instead, saying maybe he needs to call him over himself, and starts mocking him. Bok raises his sword, taking the bait, and swings forward, but Shouho swings with his club as well, and they trade blow for blow. Bok looks pissed, but Shouho is confident. This trade continues, and as the pressure seems to be getting to Bok, his footing becomes unstable, as he starts panting, saying that he can't believe all of his attacks were blocked. He heard that the second son was a first-rate martial master, but for this guy, it doesn't make any sense. Shouho asks if he's going to throw a tantrum now that things aren't going his way, and for him to learn his place, he deserves a beating, as he charges and laughing. Bok swings his sword, saying, not so fast, but is surprised as Shoho completely vanishes. When he turns, it's too late, as Shoho is telling him to clench his teeth, before hitting him directly on the skull with his club. Knocking him unconscious, he falls to the floor, face first, and drops his sword too. Shoho says that he had such a clear ringing sound, and maybe his head is hollow. A little later, he starts to wake up, as Eungim wonders if he's dead. Shoho says he didn't hit him that hard. As So-ah starts slapping him awake, he slowly opens his eyes, only to see his beautiful smile, saying that he's so glad he's awake now. He screams at the sight of it, and So-ah asks if he's really that scared looking at his face, and if he wants to die. Eungim holds in her laughter, and Shoho says that this isn't the first or second time he's done this, asking how he's going to go an entire year delaying payment and annoying people. They've only tolerated it out of respect for the pavilion master, asking if he thinks that they are suckers. He says he has no idea what they're even talking about, and Shoho throws the papers into his face. He says that this is the record of all the goods their merchant group has provided to them, and yet he has not paid a single coin in the last year, so according to the contract, it means that the ownership of them must be transferred. Bach tells him not to be absurd, and if he thinks that he wouldn't know these are forged, and if he's trying to pin this on him, and that he knows all about how the fire destroyed their records, saying that they're really trying to extort money without evidence. Eungim says this is disgusting, as So-ah pulls out his knife, saying he won't listen to this anymore. Shoho drops his club to the floor, asking if he really thinks it's fake, telling him to take a good look, wondering if he's the only one who can see that the paper is aged and has a worn down seal, wondering what he'll do if it turns out to be real. Bach realizes that it's genuine, but says it doesn't make sense, as he heard it all went up in flames, and if the Daoun merchant group really messed up, because they told him the job was done, wondering if they really lied to him. Shoho starts making rattling sounds, making Bach confused, wondering what he's doing. Shoho says that it's just the sound of his tiny ass brain trying to think, and that if he'd just run the house properly, he could have lived comfortably. He asks what he's so desperate for that he'd end up pulling shit like this, as he must have been doing shady stuff behind people's backs, and he starts asking him if he's wrong. Bach begins to be completely overwhelmed by his presence. What a cool panel. Suchong then says that there's something he would like to say. Shoho recognizes him as he introduces himself as the chief manager. Shoho says that he's the one who turned a failing establishment into one of the top 3 houses, and he has really good skills as a manager, and he can't believe that he's rotting away here. Eungim greets him with a very deep bow, introducing himself. Suchong says that he wants to skip the formalities and hand him this. These are the accounting books for their house. He should turn to the 7th page, as there's a new branch location. Bach yells, saying that if he says one more word, he'll kill him, but immediately starts to feel a chill run down his spine, as Eungim puts her blade directly to his throat. Suchong asks if he can speak with Bach for a moment. Shoho gives him permission, so Suchong tells him that it's all over, so he should stop now, as he's already crossed the line too many times. Bach had average abilities compared to the previous housemaster, as he continuously made mistakes, and he was shit-talked by everybody. He was always being compared to his father, and even small mistakes were regarded as big flaws, and perhaps that is what truly sent him, as Suchong found him when he was younger, straight tweaking in a corner, saying that it's not like he made the mistake on purpose, that they always keep bringing up his father, and if he thinks that his father will always be in that position. This is pretty much what probably sent him after years of being compared. Suchong tells him that even while knowing he couldn't fill his place, he regrets all the time and effort he wasted on thinking of his relationship with the previous housemaster. And now he's gonna have to deal with the consequences of his action. Bach looks annoyed. Suchong continues, telling Shoho to check the ledgers he mentioned earlier. Shoho thanks him, saying that he must have had special circumstances, but regardless, things have been resolved now, as he had thought he was planning to do something corrupt. He asks if he found something out. Shoho says yes, as expected, the funds were leaking somewhere else, and then he bows, thanking his father for trusting him. His father says that it's because of the words he spoke to him, which is why he trusted him, and tells him good work. Shoho says there is one more part of this that's suspicious, asking if he would like to see it. Gilsong says that he has info as well, and he heard that he was building a new house, but he thought it was a false rumor, but now he sees it might have been true. The mastermind behind all of this must be none other than the Daoun merchant group. They start heading back, and we see Shoho in the woods with the Suchong. Shoho says that he's aware that the Daoun merchant group is with the White Heaven merchant group, and he wonders what the Murim alliance is planning this time. Eungem calls out to him, so he turns. She asks what he could possibly be thinking about so deeply that he hasn't responded to her call since earlier. He apologizes, and she wonders why they have to go see the pavilion, and to explain so that if something happens, she may be of help. He plays it off, acting naive, saying that he's not too sure himself, saying that he has to go find out. She wonders if she should just punch him. Suchong points forward, saying that that's the house they are building. That contrary to the expectations, it's just an ordinary pavilion, but the air around it is strangely cold. Shoho asks Eungem if she notices anyone around. She says that she doesn't. Shoho says that must mean that nobody's close, and they should head in. As they do, Suchong says that nobody is here because there was an order not to enter until tomorrow. He also felt something strange, near here before. Shoho calls out to him, telling Suchong to stand behind him immediately, as he and Eungem are ready for a fight. Shoho tells somebody to come out. As they step out behind the pillar, we see a woman approaching slowly. He says that they didn't sense anyone, asking who she is, saying to identify herself. She sits there in silence and immediately starts to draw her blade. He realizes that she wants to fight, telling Eungem to take care of Suchong. She dashes in, straight towards Shoho, swinging towards him. He says that she's actually pretty quick. He then deflects her attack with his blade, and she turns, immediately looking for a follow-up. As he and her start moving around the pavilion, neither getting the edge over the other, their swords keep clashing with one another. He says that she's light on her feet, but she has strong strikes, and that this person is definitely a master. A purple aura starts to emanate from her blade, and he can smell orchids. Eungem yells out his name as she swings forward, getting the assassin away from him. She instantly lands directly right beside Suchong, but instead of killing him, she dashes out of the room and throws something in towards them all. Shoho wonders if it's a firebomb, telling everybody to get down as smoke starts to spread throughout the entire pavilion. Shoho asks Suchong if he's okay, and he says that he is. Shoho says that he's glad it was just a smoke bomb, which means her goal was only to get out of here. She would have been in danger had she gone all out. Suchong tells him to come over here, and he doesn't know why this house was made, but there is an underground tunnel that leads to the Lotus House's main building. Shoho says that is definitely strange, asking Eungem if she could guard the entrance. Shoho says the masked person must have been related to the door, and as they lift it, he looks surprised, saying what his father said was true, as what they see is the Daoun merchant group's crest. It jumps to the main estate of the Yunya Merchant Guild, the Yunwol Pavilion. After he tells his father about the underground passage, he says that if he found the Daoun insignia down there, it means that he must have been right. Soa looks hella sleep deprived, saying that if it bothers him that much, he should just put the Lotus House up for sale. Shoho tells him that won't do, and they're both confused, wondering why not. He says as they all know, the Lotus House is one of the 5 major houses in the Hubei province, and it's a place frequented by wealthy elites and high officials. That means they frequently get opportunities to make contact and earn their favor. Gilsong says that means they can also quickly obtain high-quality information. Soa adds that means they can promote their merchant group's merchandise too. Shoho says exactly, so if they retain the current chief manager, they won't need to put much effort into it. It'll run smoothly in the long term, and be a net gain. Soa agrees, saying that looking at the ledgers, he saw he's a person with really outstanding capabilities. So much so that he wanted to bring him to his side and put him to work immediately. Poor Suchong, I hope he never has to meet him again. Shoho says that he can't believe he's always making such creepy-ass faces. Gilsong says that since Shoho wrapped up the situation so well, he's going to give him a vacation as a reward. Soa looks startled by this and immediately starts giving Shoho the death glare, telling him that he better refuse it while exuding a lot of killing intent. Gilsong tells Shoho that he'll handle Soa, so he can leave, and Shoho says okay. Soa starts telling him that he's going to haunt him if he doesn't return. Shoho says that he thought he was a ghost who died from overwork in his past life, and he's giving him the chills. Eungem then asks if there's a ghost here, but he says no, and they should just continue. She just wonders what's going on with the ghost talk. He ignores her, as we learn the reason that the nobles of Hubei supported the Murim alliance and the White Heaven merchant group in his past life must be because they were recruited in secret at the hidden location. Now that that place is their property, they've completely pulled over one of those Murim alliance bastards. She is still hung up on the ghost bit, but Shoho says if only they captured the masked woman, they could have learned more. He says that they should just keep what happened at the pavilion a secret for now, and there's no need to make his father worry. Shoho says that the masked woman was a martial master comparable to someone like Il Pyong. If they were to have confronted the Murim alliance head-on, they'll likely even have to face more powerful foes, and he should visit his master from his past life, perhaps today. I assume this is his master. We get a flashback to him saying if only he had rushed the patrol by at least 2 hours, his son would never have died. Shoho immediately gets a chill running down his spine, asking Eungam what day it is. He then starts figuring it out, saying that that means that today is the day. As Shoho starts running, with Eungam falling behind, he says that he can't be late. He says that today, his master's firstborn son will lose his life in an accident in the bamboo forest. Shoho tells Eungam that he's going to head there first, and to take care of the physician for him. The tragedy that happened while all the adults were away at work. As we can see the physician struggling, Shoho says that nobody could have expected that the eldest son, while playing with his younger brother in the bamboo grove, would fall and fatally be pierced by a bamboo shoot. He hears somebody screaming, and he comes to a stop, trying to listen to where it's coming from. As we see 2 children, with one bleeding from an injury, the kid's crying, begging his brother to stay awake, asking if there's anyone to help them. Shoho turns to try to figure out where they are. The kid apologizes, saying that if only he had not suggested playing in the forest. Shoho pats his head, saying that it's not his fault, it was because he shouted for help that he was able to come. The kid cries, and Shoho says he did well. Eungam also arrives, giving the guy a princess carry. The physician walks over to the eldest son and begins inspecting his injury, as Shoho comforts the younger brother, telling him that it will be okay, and he's glad he made it in time, saying that was a relief. At the medical pavilion now, he says that a penetration wound from a bamboo shoot penetrated a really bad area, and if they were a little later, it would have been fatal, and perhaps in this life, you might get to see his master smile more often, as the pain of burying one's child in their heart is something he can never dare to imagine, so he's going to change the future one piece at a time. It is real. But he says that it should be time he arrived, as his master runs straight past him, calling out to his son named Hyungjin. Shoho says he's probably just returned from an escort mission and greets him. He introduces himself, saying while walking through the bamboo forest, he was fortunate enough to find and bring him back. His master bows, thanking him, saying that it would have been a disaster if not for him. Shoho says not at all, he was just lucky enough to find them, and it was his youngest son who stayed by his brother's side and stopped the bleeding, so he's the one who saved his life. His master starts rubbing Hyungjin's head and looks just relieved that his son's okay, tells Shoho that he's very humble, and he doesn't know how to repay his kindness. He says that he shouldn't worry about it, he was simply meant to live, and there's no need to thank him like that. Shoho never expected his master to be like this, and just from him holding his hands, his master realizes something and calls out to him, asking if they can move somewhere more private. Shoho asks what's wrong, and his master looks down at Hyungjin, saying that this isn't the place, so they should be cautious, and it concerns his physical constitution. Shoho looks surprised. Later at night, his master apologizes for making him come here so late without a guard. Shoho says it's fine, and he assumes that he doesn't want others to know about whatever he's going to tell him. His master smiles, saying that he's pretty sharp. Shoho wonders if the internal energy he got from the pure ice snow plum changed his body, and if his master has felt that. His master then asks if he knows about the mysterious Dragonstar physique. Shoho's a little surprised, and stares at him, and his master says based on his reaction, he does. He then smiles, telling him not to be so nervous. When he touched his hand earlier, he felt a very powerful amount of yin energy. He could tell because he too had learned ice arts. He felt that he possessed the mysterious Dragonstar physique then. Shoho asks if he knows something about it. His master says he met someone in the past with that physique. Shoho's surprised that he met someone with the same exact condition, but his master tells him he can't tell him who it is, and he's sorry. Shoho assumes he has his reason, but his master says the reason he brought this up is he wanted to ask if it would be alright to teach him the ice arts he knows. Shoho knew this was coming, but decides to act surprised. His master says that the fact he saved his child and met, and the fact that he knows about his physique, sure does make him think it's all fate. He would love to repay him for what he's done as well, asking that he would allow him to teach him martial arts. Shoho's starting to have trouble holding back his smile, since everything's going so smoothly, and he tells his master to teach him. He says he low-key did not expect him to accept the offer so quickly. Shoho tells him that they have a very long history with his escort agency, so there's no way he would turn down an opportunity to learn from one of the leaders of such a place. His master, feeling excited about teaching him, says that they'll start training immediately tomorrow morning. The next morning, they're sitting down together. As his master says that the cultivation technique's name is the Supreme Incite Divine Arts, and he already has internal energy in his Dantian, so he just needs to memorize the flow he is showing right now, and do it for himself afterwards. As it starts channeling in his back, Shoho begins circulating it as his master pours it in. His master says this is strange, since his meridians are already opened, and they're very clean at that. He takes his hand off of his back and bluntly asks him if he already knew about this cultivation technique. Shoho acts surprised, saying there's no way he would know, but of course he's already cultivated it with his body, opening up his meridians. His master then asks if there was a time when his life was endangered because of his energy. Shoho says he had a miracle medicine a while ago, and it actually almost killed him. He's not really lying, because it was a struggle. His master says that explains it. People said that this cultivation technique was created a very long time ago, when their ancestors' survival instincts kicked in when they found themselves freezing to death, and perhaps he experienced that. Shoho feels bad about lying, but he can't tell him the truth, so he was sure he would find it harder to believe the truth than this. His master puts his hand on his shoulder, calling out to him, and when Shoho turns, he tells him that it's a good thing since he's already prepared to utilize the cultivation technique. This means they can skip straight to stamina and strength training right now. Shoho asks if he means this instant. His master says of course, and it's going to be so hard that he's going to want to curse at him, but since he saved his son's life, he's going to do his very best, so that his teachings can help him save his own life. So in between the weeks, whenever he has free time from work, he's out training in the training grounds, doing all sorts of strength training, but also never losing any time for his work. His master says he's going to give him homework every day, so he needs to train even when he's working, which is why he's holding his arms above his head. Shoho says that he's just going to lie in bed and do nothing during his upcoming vacation. The door opens as Young tells him there's a guest. So asks why she's bother him, since she can clearly see that he's busy. Then she tells him it's Mr. Song. He immediately gets up, saying that he'll go check it out. As Young tells Shoho to get ready, he asks if he's going with him. And so says that if Mr. Song is here, that means he has something to discuss, and that usually means more documents. Since he's already got too much on his plate, he'll be the one taking care of them. So if he goes to talk to him on his own and explains everything to him afterwards, it would be a real pain in the ass. So he just won't do it. Shoho can't believe that he's having him do everything because he's so lazy, also that he needs to get out of here ASAP. So then tells Young to take care of Shoho, as he'll give her more work once she's back. This is definitely some type of Stockholm. She says yes as she begins to try and tie him up. A little later, we see them all sitting around the table as Gilsong greets Mr. Song. We learn that Mr. Song is the Chang'an County's landowner, and that his name is Jiangju. He says he's glad to be here, but he wonders what the hell is going on because Shoho's tied up. So tells him to pay no attention, as he is his slave, rather, subordinate, since he corrects himself. But Jiangju can tell he was going to say slave. He then starts drinking his tea, saying that he needs their help. Gilsong asks what's up. As Jiangju continues, saying a few days ago, the officers told him that some of his land hasn't been taken into account for taxes. So he talked about it with so many trusts, and they told him that the officers are looking for something. It seems like there's a misunderstanding, and he thought that if he could find whatever it is they're looking for, he could at least clear the misunderstanding up. And what that is specifically is a doll that dances on its own at specific times. Shoho's surprised by this. Gilsong says that sure is interesting. As he puts his teacup down, he says he understands his situation, but just because he does, doesn't mean that he can help immediately, and he wants to know who requested this item. Jiangju is nervous, saying that the truth is, it involves Lady Yo. So clears his throat. As Gilsong says he's sorry to tell him this, but he doesn't think they can take on this request. When we learn that Lady Yo, at some point, she became really popular among all the noble women. Once a month, they would choose a young lady and take turns assigning her a task to obtain rare items. Sometimes they'd be told to bring back a golden flower, however, and whoever lost the bet had to treat everyone involved in the game to an extravagant feast. Whoever won the bet would be treated like an empress by the other noble women until the next round began. There was one woman who created and hosted this game. Yo, the wife of official Po Jiangzi, began as a fleeting form of entertainment, and became a frenzied competition, eventually causing harm even to commoners. At the time, he couldn't understand why they became so obsessed with such trivial amusement, but he understands it now a little bit. As Jiangju says that he has been wronged. He swears to the heavens that he's never done anything shameful, yet they say he's failed to pay taxes on land covering several acres. If he had that item, he could directly appeal to the official, and clear up this misunderstanding, and beg them to help. Shoho wonders if it could be that in his previous life, the reason so many landlords, including Jiangju, fell into ruin from tax evasion and even took their own lives, was ultimately because of Lady Yo. He is a long-time acquaintance of their merchant group, and is well respected amongst the common folk. If they help him now, he will surely repay their kindness many times over. However, getting entangled with her at this point is too dangerous. As Jiangju starts crying, Gilsong comforts him, and Shoho wonders what the hell he's even thinking. He wonders why his merchant group met such a tragic end, saying that now that he's returned to the past, he's already resolved what to do. He calls out to his father, as he must never forget his purpose. Soa starts to unravel him as he tells him that he has something to report, and that rare item is something that he'll go try to retrieve. Elsewhere, on their way to obtain it, he says the real name of the item is the self-dancing doll. In his past life, the artisan who made it came from the Golden Immortal Village. If he goes and makes inquiries, he might be able to track him down. The important thing is to avoid getting into direct conflict with Lady Yo. Soon, the Emperor will issue a decree that will put an end to the noble women's game. When that happens, Lady Yo's misdeeds will also come to an end for good, as she will be beheaded. So if he stays out of it, he'll be fine. Ongem calls out to him, and she asks what the hell is going on all of a sudden. Whenever he's going somewhere, he needs to start telling her in advance, and when and where, that's all she wants to know. He said nothing until yesterday, and now he's suddenly traveling to another province. The roads are also treacherous with all of this snow. He says that it's about time he starts making trade expeditions, and this commission is really important for their group, and that the others have already given him approval, and even his older brothers gave him gifts and wished him well. She says okay, but she's curious about something, wondering why the hell Palgap is grinning so much. Palgap says that it's Shoho's first official expedition, and he can't believe he's finally having one after all this time, and he's so nervous and excited. Some other guy in the carriage laughs, saying that's true, telling Ungam to not worry, as Shoho is far more mature and capable than his age would suggest. This is one of the warriors of the finest pavilion named Lem Gyeongan, and that he too will assist Shoho to ensure the mission is completed swiftly and with grace. As So-ah said, this bastard needed to return quickly, but he corrects himself, saying that the young master needs to return quickly. Ongem says that sounds like good advice to her. Gyeongan continues, saying that the expedition is accompanied by the head escort of the Prosperous Escort Agency, and even the captain from the Silverwind squad is here, and that it would only be bad if they ran into bandits or something. The carriage starts shaking, and Shoho wonders if he just jinxed them all. He opens the doors, asking what's wrong, only to see someone right in front of their group, staring down his men. The guy laughs, saying it's been a while. We finally learn Shoho's master is named Guak Myung-hyun, and we are introduced to the captain of the Silver Sword Squad named Chung. The guy who stopped them is looking towards Shoho, saying that he assumes they are headed for the Jiangxi province. Chung says that's correct, and they're transporting goods that must be kept dry. With all the snow, their pace is slow, and everyone is exhausted. The guy says that's good news for them, as their stronghold chief sent word, inviting them to stop by for some warm tea and rest. Chung and Myung-hyun agree on it. Shoho says this must be the Green Forest Bandits, and that means there is someone in there who was famous in his past life. It jumps to the stronghold as we hear a man laughing loudly, saying it's nice to meet them all like this. He introduces himself as the chief of the Wutong Mountain stronghold, named Jiang Desu. Chung introduces himself, same as Myung Hyun. Desu laughs, saying that it's a relief they've made it through the snow, and that they should eat before the food gets cold. Algap starts to whisper into Eungam's ear, asking her if they're not in the den of bandits right now, wondering why everybody's so relaxed. Shoho explains that not all bandits or pirates start fights with merchant groups or escort agencies. Back in his day, the bastards who started fights without a plan were rooted out, eaten up, and that they could just act as they normally would, and they can pass by just fine. Eungam looks over at Shoho suspiciously, asking why he said back in his day, saying that this is his first trip out. He says that's what his brother told him. He said it's a super great tip. Then he changes the conversation, talking about the food, but again, she looks suspicious. He starts checking it, saying the tea is pretty good, and it must be pretty expensive, so he doesn't know if it's okay to drink in the winter. Desu then calls out to Shoho, saying that he doesn't seem like the type to go on a trip like this. Shoho apologizes for his manners, saying that he forgot to introduce himself. So he does so very formally at that. Desu asks what his relationship with the Yunya merchant group head is. Shoho tells him that he's his father, which makes Desu laugh, saying that he didn't know that they had such a precious guest, so he should hurry and eat. Shoho looks back over towards the man we saw earlier, who's eating a much smaller portion than they are, and clearly, they are very hungry. Shoho wonders why he's looking down at his food, saying that compared to his, theirs is very lacking. He doesn't think he's the kind of person to neglect his own family for a guest, and that they surely have funds, but he finds this pretty strange. In a difficult situation, they invite guests and treat them very generously, even though they themselves don't eat. They want to take more for the toll, but they don't want to be aggressive at the same time. But they don't seem like they are lacking. That means that Desu doesn't know what's hiding on this mountain yet, so if he plays this well, it can go in his favor. He calls out to Desu, asking if he's been having a hard time lately, causing Eungam to spit all over Palgap. But the rest are also a bit surprised by this. Desu, in a very cold tone, calls out to Shoho, saying that he believes he's made a mistake out of ignorance, wondering if he knows just how incredibly insulting those words are. Shoho says that he's sorry if his feelings are hurt, but he doesn't need to react so strongly. Desu looks pissed, as Shoho continues, saying that he doesn't think this stronghold needs to hold on to those who are passing by, and treat them luxuriously, unfitting of their difficult circumstances, only to request a higher toll than usual. They wonder how Shoho knew this, and he says all the while, everybody's acting as if they're eating until they are full. Shoho asks if he's wrong, causing Desu to stab his chopsticks down into his food. He then starts to stand up, and his men grow anxious as he starts to tower over Shoho. Eungam says he's clearly gone insane, but Desu starts to chuckle, then it turns into full-blown laughter, which echoes throughout the entire room as Shoho smiles. He says he's sorry for their mediocre acting, but he's completely correct. This winter has had so much snow, so it's not exactly their best time. However, judging by how he brought up this fact, despite if they would take offense to it or not, it means he must have some kind of countermeasures. Shoho says that he sure is magnanimous for the leader of bandits, and he didn't think of him to be the type of person who'd be stuck doing bandit stuff for his entire life, and his last life either, which causes Desu to smile. Shoho says it's a simple, yet effective method. Desu says that he seems full of confidence, asking what it is. Shoho looks around the room, saying before that, he wants to know about that sword, asking if it's his, as he seems to be taking good care of it. Desu says of course, to a martial artist, their sword is like a part of their body, so making sure it's taken care of is a fundamental, but he wonders how that's related to the method he's speaking of. Shoho says with that being said, he's curious if Wutong Mountain is still more important to him than that sword. Desu says that it's practically his everything, asking how he could even say that. Shoho asks why he hasn't been taking care of it then. Algap starts to hold back Eungam, who's losing her shit. Desu asks what he means by taking care of, and Shoho points out the window towards the snow, saying that, thanks to the snow, less and less people are coming and going, and that's the reason they haven't been able to take as many tolls as usual. They barely managed to come this far, even though there are quite a few of them. This means smaller groups won't even try to come, so if he gets rid of the snow, it would benefit the people, since that means they don't have to go all around the mountain, and he will receive more tolls, which is great. In the end, it's a win-win for everyone. While he's at it, he can even say since they cleared the roads, they'll charge more for the toll, and they would understand. Desu says that he can't believe he didn't think of that. Even his men say that they never even thought of such a thing, and educated bastards sure are different. They wonder why their leader hasn't thought about that. Poor Desu says that he's just stupid. He then calls out to Shoho, saying as much as he's embarrassed to admit it, since he couldn't think of such a simple method, he's also embarrassed for having acted impertinently before he was able to understand what he was thinking, and that he is indebted to him, asking what he wishes for. Shoho is caught off guard, but smiles, saying that he sure is a good guy, and he asks if the two of them can talk privately, as he has something that would be very helpful for both the Wutong Mountain stronghold and him. Maybe he's taken after So-Ah a bit too much. A little later, they're looking over the stronghold as Shoho tells him it's beautiful. Desu says this is the pride of their stronghold, and he set up camp here because he loved the scenery. Especially in winter, once the snow covers everything in white like this, it becomes a breathtaking sight. More importantly, since he requested a private audience, he assumes it's something important. He wants to get to the point. Shoho laughs, asking how much he knows about spiritual herbs. Desu says not much, wondering why he brought it up so suddenly. Shoho explains that it was around 5 years before he died. Not long after, rumors about the spiritual herbs sprouting in Wutong Mountain began to spread. Soon, the Murim alliance swept through the stronghold, and it didn't take long for them to monopolize the spiritual herbs growing here. However, at that point, the Murim alliance knew nothing about the herb's existence. Shoho says he wants to speak bluntly. The truth is, there are precious spiritual herbs growing all over this mountain. Right now, beneath his foot, there's a bluish flower. It's called the snow soul flower. It's an excellent remedy for those with damaged organs. Aside from that, there are herbs that expel negative energy from the body like the white tiger spirit flower, some that absorb medicine more effectively like the snow ginseng, and other countless spiritual herbs thriving all around this mountain. Desu asks how he got such information. Shoho tells him that, as a merchant, handling various goods and having basic knowledge of herbs and reading terrain is essential. Desu laughs, saying that even for a merchant, it's rare to spot spiritual herbs in such a short amount of time. Shoho tells him the details are a trade secret, and he's not his average merchant. He can't just tell him he knows the future after all. Desu says he sure does have guts, asking what it is that he wants from him. Shoho says that he wants to trade the spiritual herbs from this place exclusively with them, and keep this a secret deal. Desu says it's doable, but wonders why he wants to keep it a secret. Shoho says that if word gets out about the herbs, it'll become a headache for both of them. They might face competition from other trading groups, and he'll have to guard his land against thieves. Desu says that this is true, since herbs are no ordinary treasure. An outside interference would definitely be a problem, like those thieves who wear the mask of justice and commit all sorts of atrocities. As he looks pissed, Shoho's surprised, wondering if he's talking about the Murim alliance. He says if they strike a deal, then they'll not only purchase the herbs at a good price, but they'll also provide him with documents to help distinguish spiritual herbs from common weeds, asking if he will accept their offer. He immediately shakes his hand with zero hesitation, saying that he will trade with the Yunya merchant group. Shoho asks if he would like to head back and draw up a contract now. Desu laughs, saying he sure is thorough, and Shoho says that a contract is the foundation of any good deal. Back to the stronghold they had inside. As Shoho opens the doors, he yells, telling somebody to wait, as we hear heavy-ass footsteps like an elephant running at him. That's none other than Palgap, picking him up, saying, "Thank God." He was so worried since he was out for so long. Shoho asks why he's acting this way. Chung says that he's glad nothing happened, even if it was at his request. Letting him go alone without an escort was terribly worrying. Shoho tells him he's alright. If he thought there was any danger, he wouldn't have requested a private audience in the first place. Desu then says that everybody's making too big of a deal out of this, and that Shoho is stronger than they all think. Even among those present here, his skills are top tier. They wonder what exactly he means, so Chung asks. Desu tells everybody to listen up, saying starting today he will treat Shoho with respect as an honored guest. Therefore, he and his companions should have the utmost hospitality. He doesn't want to be shameless and charge a toll to someone who saved him, so they can go on for free. Shoho says that he can't just walk away after what he's received, and he tells Eungam to hand it over. She does so, and he tells Daesu that if he's uncomfortable accepting it, then to not consider it a toll, but a down payment for the deal they signed today. Daesu smiles, saying that he really must win everything, and that he will accept it. He takes the bag from Shoho, as Shoho says it's time for them to head out and be on their way. Daesu says that despite looking so young, he's bold and clever to a pretty crazy degree, and he reminds him of an old friend, as he looks up towards the sky. We get a flashback to an area burning down, and somebody's yelling, telling him to snap out of it, asking if he's planning to die a pointless death here. And we see this is how his eye got all scarred. Somebody's yelling, telling him to not even dream of revenge, and to just go into hiding. From now on, he must conceal his martial arts, which he seems to switch to a different weapon. Maybe this character will be important based on the earring. He tells Daesu that no matter what, his soul's purpose is to survive. Daesu says that now that he's met a young man as bold as he once was, he can't help but be reminded of the past, and he told him to never dream of revenge. But how could he go on living in shame, abandoning he and his family? But he can't help but wonder just how far that young man, who reminds him of him, will go. It then jumps to Shoho in a dream, as he's looking around wondering what's going on. He looks down after he notices something. There's a broken doll laying at his feet. He wonders why it's here, then he hears crying. He turns, seeing somebody mourning their family. Shoho approaches the child, asking if they're okay, only for them to grab onto him, begging that this time, that he will save them, with bloody tears running down their eyes. Shoho screams himself awake, and Palgap yells, asking if he's okay, and he grabs onto his hand. Eungam also enters, asking what's going on and if he had a nightmare. He says that he just had a bad dream, and he needs to find the doll maker already. Eungam says that he's been pushing himself too hard lately, and that they have to look for the artisan who crafted the doll. Shoho laughs, saying that he might be overworked, but if they resolve this properly, there's a lot to gain, and they should get going again today to find the doll artisan. Today marks the third day since he has arrived here in the Golden Immortal Village. Thanks to his master and Chung, he's free to move about, which is great, but he still has not found the artisan. It's been confirmed that he lives here, and there was also a clue that he lives in a house with palinha trees, and he expected it to be easy to find. But there's so many of them, and it's like every other house here has them. And he guesses he sees he's going to have to look around some more. He can immediately sense that there's a group of people following him, and he says that it's about time. Ever since word got out that he arrived here, a rival merchant group has been tailing him. They're afraid that theirs might infringe on their trade routes, but that's not the plan, and he gets that it's a nuisance, but he already has his hands filled just trying to find out clues about the doll artisan, and he supposes they should deal with him for it first. He asks Palgap if this market isn't full of such interesting sights. Palgap says that it is, and even though they've been seeing them for days now, there's so much food and so many unique ones, and he can't stop pigging out. Shoho says they can go check out the other area today, which catches Eungam off guard, because she doesn't know what they're talking about, only to watch them both hauling absolute cheeks away. And a bit later, we see them sitting down. Shoho says they weave through the market for quite some time to shake off their pursuers, and Eungam sighs, saying that they finally lost them. Palgap asks if they were being followed, and Shoho says that's why they took off so suddenly. Somebody then yells out for a thief, and Shoho turns, as we see a man running away with somebody's belongings, going straight towards the group. Shoho decides that he'll step in, taking some of Palgap's food, and he begins imbuing it with his icy aura. His master told him that once he was efficient with his icy divine arts, and was skilled enough with it, he could coat objects with the icy aura, hardening them, giving off the icy chill as well. He begins doing that to the food, but it's still not completely covered, and he says that this is good enough. As he looks up towards the thief, he eats the absolute hell out of it, as Palgap yells, asking why his apple deserved this. As the thief is continuing to run away, we see him step on the frozen apple, and he starts to eat shit, falling face first into the ground, like something out of Tom and Jerry. He asks who left this on the ground, and Shoho tells him to return the money pouch. Algap says that this thief is definitely a bad person, and he snatches the bag out of his hands. The man panting finally catches up, thanking them. Shoho gives it to him, and Shoho says that they'll take the man to the authorities, so he can go on his way. The guy asks if he would like to come into his house for tea, and he feels terrible for his benefactor to just go without repayment. Shoho says it's not a big deal, and he doesn't need to call him his benefactor, but old Shoho can't resist his puppy dog eyes, and decides to go along with it. The guy says it's humble, but it's still his home. Shoho says that it feels cozy and lovely, and we see children peering out from around a corner. Calling out to their father, they run over. They begin hugging him, and he asks if they had fun today. He introduces the children, telling them to come say hello. Shoho then says wait a second, as this house has the palinha trees, and even this child, who is similar to the one he saw in his dream. A little later, Shoho's still thinking about it, asking if that child could really be the doll artisan he's been searching for. Ongem says they should just ask directly if he knows how to make dolls. He says that being straightforward sure does seem like the best approach, and that he really does resemble the kid he saw in the dream. The door opens with the man, saying they must have waited a long time, and he's sorry that he doesn't have anything better to offer such an esteemed guest. Shoho tells him not to apologize, as the tea has a rich, gentle aroma, so it's pretty delightful. The guy says that, come to think of it, he hasn't introduced himself yet. He says that he lives here in the village, and he makes pottery, and that his name is Gong Duyi. Then he thanks Shoho for helping him once more. Shoho says that he only did what anyone should do, and if he keeps acting like that, he's going to feel embarrassed. Then he wants to know what his children's names are. He says that his eldest son is named Mil, and his daughter is named Ray. Shoho says that he should introduce himself too, and he does so. Duyi starts to stare at him, saying that he seems like someone of importance, yet he takes interest in people like him who don't have much, and it truly is humbling. He says that he's far more admirable, raising 2 children as a father. He has not experienced it himself, but he's heard that raising children is just as difficult as governing a nation. Duyi says, ain't that shit the truth? He often feels sorry for his children, knowing that he lacks the ability to give them more. Shoho says that he might be a bit presumptuous, but seeing how bright and tearful his children are, he says that he's done plenty. The little toy starts rolling towards them until it bumps into the steps. Shoho realizes this is his chance. He asks the kids if they made that. Ray says that Mil made it, and he's made a lot of other toys too. Mil says this is a self-moving cart. It's a bit rough compared to the ones he's seen in his previous life, but still, it's a cart that moves on its own when you turn the gears and place it on the ground. It was once popular among wealthy children, and that this child made one, and if that's the case, he must be the doll maker. He says that's pretty impressive, asking if he has made other things too. Mil looks nervous, but Ray's super happy to be able to brag about her brother, and she starts running off. She comes back with the doll, telling him to look at this. Shoho says it's just as he thought. Compared to the intricate puppet he remembers, this one is quite rough, but given the early stage he's at, it's likely that it's about the level of craftsmanship expected. As she starts turning the cog, they wait for a bit, but nothing happens. She wonders why it's not moving, but Mil says that it must be the lifespan of the materials inside the doll. Originally, when you turn this gear, the elastic force from the fish bladder inside allows the doll to move on its own, but this one's made of discarded materials from the market, so it must have broken down quickly. Shoho asks if he had proper materials, could he make it again? He smiles and nods his head. Duyi says that he's always been really good at making these things, and he is talented, but since they don't bring money in, he just entertains the neighborhood kids and his younger sister. Shoho asks what he means by it not bringing money in, as his son has a gift from the heavens, and it's a skill that can bring in an immense amount of wealth. Duyi asks what he means. Shoho explains that the items he makes are rare and unique. If refined in appearance and sold in the market, they could fetch a high price. Duyi says he's sorry, but the ones who make money are merchants, not the artisans who create the items. Artisans like him, with no power, are merely used. As the saying goes, the bear does the tricks, and the peddler takes the money. Shoho says that his views are more negative than he anticipated. At this rate, he and his family might end up as slaves, and if he wants to change their tragic fate, he needs to make up his mind. He then calls up to Duyi, asking how much of a share he receives from selling his ceramics. He says that it's probably less than 10%. Shoho says that if he forms a contract with Mill, he'll give him 40% of the earnings on the condition that he join their merchant group's workshop. Doogie asks why he's offering his child so much, and says that he needs time to think this over. Shoho says as expected, it's too much to process, so he should think it over carefully, and he's to step back. He thanks him for the tea, saying that he plans to return to Hubei the day after tomorrow or the day after that. Until then, he'll be staying at a place called Ya Inn. If he makes up his mind to find him. Doogie bows, and as the children also see him off, Shoho says he'll be heading out as they go to leave. Ongem says that Kid is definitely the doll artisan he was looking for, but wonders why Shoho looks so gloomy. Shoho says that even if he wants to help them, he doesn't have a reason to. Nothing has happened yet. At the Hazel Merchant Group, a man says that he's heard that he failed to retrieve Master Gong's monthly tribute. He apologizes, saying that just like how even falling backwards can break your nose if you're unlucky, the guy he tasked with the job ended up getting caught by the Union Merchant Group's third young master's guards. However, he's already taken other measures, so there should be no problems. The dude asks if he has figured out yet why the Yunya brat came all the way here. He says they've been tracking him for days, but he's just wandering around the village and marketplace. The man says that he might just be trying to gain experience in field work, but he heard he stopped by Master Gong's house earlier today. He says it's because Master Gong insisted on treating him with tea for saving him, and it's just a coincidence. The man says soon they will sign him the slave contract, and he wonders if he's trying to switch over to another merchant group and betray them, after they've allowed him to earn a living all this time. This is why lowly folk can't be trusted, and if he continues to resist, to bring him here, they'll teach him a painful lesson so that he learns his place. Later that night, we hear Doogie sighing, and his wife asks why he's sighing so heavily. He says he can't stop thinking about the man they met earlier today. She asks if he means the gentleman who protected his pouch. He says yes, he recognized Mill's talent, even offered him a contract, and that he would give him 40% of the profits. But the more he thinks about it, someone so readily offering a large sum is really suspicious. He's been tricked too many times in life, and he feels pathetic for doubting someone who helped him. She asks if he's really trying to believe what a con artist told him, and that it was the Hazel Merchant Group that helped them put food on the table until now. He asks if she's not been paying attention to how they treated him all this time, and that she agreed that they'd look for new work once the contract ended. She says that she did say that before, but now it's different, as she pulls out something shiny. He sees a gold ingot, asking where she got this from. She says that she ran into Wang Garyong, from the Hazel Merchant Group. He handed it to her, and said that she can pay it back once her children are all grown up, and that they'll be fine for a while just by selling this. Meanwhile, that other gentleman is very suspicious, as he suddenly appeared out of nowhere and offered 40% of the profits to commoners. She says if that's not a scam, she doesn't know what is, and they can't just trust Mill to someone like that. Dewey starts tweaking, saying still. And then he hears someone asking him if he's inside. He wonders who's here at this hour, and they say it looks like he's still awake. We see Garyong, and he has someone with him. He says he never thought he was this kind of person, as we see a man with white hair behind them. He says no matter how tempting money may be, how could he lay his hands on the merchant group's property? Dewey wonders what he's talking about, and then realizes it. As he walks right past him into his house, he says that he didn't take him for the kind that would do something like this, seeing as how he's still awake. They must have been planning to flee under the cover of night. His wife asks what exactly he's talking about, and he says that the gold ingot belongs to their merchant group. And if she's really trying to deny it with such evidence. This wakes up the children, as Mill wonders what's going on. She apologizes, saying that he gave it to her earlier and told her to use it for the household. He asks if she has a promissory note or something, or a contract stating that she officially borrowed funds from them. She says this is her first time hearing of such a thing, wondering what that even is. He says enough, and that this is a waste of time, and they should drag these thieves out immediately. Mill watches his parents get dragged away, and he runs out towards them. Garyong sticks his hand out, stopping him, saying that it's just a simple matter of signing a contract, so there's no need to chase them, and that they can stay here and wait. But Ray has no intentions, as she's ankle biting this guy. showing that she has some straight Chihuahua energy. He punts her across the room, which is pretty valid, causing her to hit her head and crash into the wall. Mil runs over, and Gar-Young says that in the end, just like their parents, they're ignorant fools who are no different from beasts. He says that if they're gonna act like beasts, then he'll take care of them, but somebody's knife stabs the floor beside him. Gar-Young's confused, asking somebody named Byung what he's doing. He slowly enters the room and calls out to Mil, asking him if this sucks, and hands him the knife, saying that in this world, nothing goes his way unless he sheds blood. So if he's a man, he should act like he's ready to die. Mil slowly reaches out towards it before running off straight past him, carrying his little sister. Gar-Young asks if he's just gonna let him go, and Byung says they never said anything about hurting children. If he wants him to do this dirty work, he'll have to pay even extra. People always ask him what he's doing in this countryside dump, but that's because it pays. But lately, it's been really boring, as he starts cutting their house apart. It falls to the ground beside him, and he says that surely there's someone strong enough around here to keep him entertained. Later in the day, Shoho is surprised that Mil came to the inn, and he asks why he's here alone without his parents. We see him and his sister all dirty, as Palgap and Ongem guide them in. Shoho asks what the hell happened, and he can see that he's injured. Mil starts tearing up and explains the entire situation to them, as Shoho looks pissed, saying that this is his fault, and whatever the reason, he should have at least assigned a bodyguard to them. A little later, we see them munching away, and Chung can't believe this kid's eating so damn much. Shoho says that he sees Ray is eating okay, and Palgap says that she sure does eat well. Ongem then brings Mil, saying that the physician checked the injuries, and it's all just minor abrasions, so they're fine, and that Mil has something to tell him. Mil says that he mentioned before that he can make a lot of money with his talent, and if that's true, then he would please want him to save his parents, as no matter how much it costs, he'll work hard and pay it all back. Shoho's surprised by how much guts this kid has, and smiles while patting his head, saying he's sorry, but that's not possible. Mil asks what he means. He says that he should be paid for his work, as if he'd exploit him for free labor, wondering if he takes him as some worthless leech. He's going to make a proper contract for him and share the promised profit, and to do that, he needs his parents' consent. So of course, he'll need to bring them here. He tells Mil to stay here and take care of Ray, as he'll be back soon with his parents. He also tells Chung that he's grateful that he's looking after the children. He says not at all, knowing their situation, he can't just turn a blind eye. It's only right as a member of the Yunya merchant group, after all. However, he can't spare a lot of people to escort him, as today's the day of their meeting with the Jui merchant group, which was the original purpose for this mission. Shoho says that's fine if they're not going to fight, they're just meeting to talk with another merchant group. Chung says that he'll assign 3 Silverwind squad members to accompany him just in case, so he should be careful. Shoho thanks him for his consideration. He says that he's going to head out. We see Myung-hyun holding his blade, and he says that hopefully he won't need it, but just in case, he does to make use of it. Shoho says that he hasn't taught him any sword techniques yet though, but thanks him for the sword. He then uses sound transmission to tell him to be careful of a martial master from the Hazel merchant group called Byung, and that he must never let his guard down. Once he returns, they'll continue with his training, so he should pace himself. Shoho opens the door, and they all start to head out to go to work. At the Hazel merchant group, they ask Dooyi if he understands the situation he's in. That his wife stole from the Hazel, from their group, and it was worth 100 coins. According to the rules, he owes him 5 times that value in compensation, but he doesn't have that kind of money. Dooyi tells him to wait, as he's told him countless times they didn't steal anything. Gar-Young tells him to stop being so stubborn and just sign this contract, and tells him to just sign the slave contract. Dooyi asks if he's not afraid of divine punishment, asking how can someone wearing a human face act more despicably than a beast. Gar-Young slaps him, saying that right now his word is law, and his slave-to-be shouldn't talk back to his master, as he starts giving him one hell of a beating. Dooyi falls to his knees, and a man starts laughing, saying that he told Gar-Young that there's meant to be no violence, and they should try to resolve this like civilized people. And if he thinks about reporting this to the authorities, his wife and kids will all be sold off to some unknown harsh place, and that it would be better to work under him instead. Dooyi asks if this is all because he said he'd rather leave for another merchant group at the end of the month. Dewey asks if this is really the reason they're doing this, and the man sighs, saying that he doesn't even know what he's talking about anymore. If he's going to be difficult, then he should just hand him over to the authorities, and once he's sold into slavery, he'll learn his lesson through suffering, and many can't endure the harsh life and end up taking their own. Judging by his stubbornness, his kids might hold out better than most. Dewey apologizes, and the leader of the group says that it's because of his old hearing that he didn't quite pick up what he said. Gar-young yells, telling him that he can't even apologize properly. Dewey slams his head into the ground, saying that he acted without knowing his place, and he's truly sorry, and he'll sign the slave contract or whatever it is, and he should just spare his children. They tell him to let him go, and the man says that he should have just done this from the start, and some people only understand when they're beaten. Something flies in, hitting the guy, sending him backward into the wall, and we see it's actually the door. Shoho says that he has a point. Some people only start listening after they've been smacked around, and people just like him, and he really just wanted to talk today, but now they've broken the door down and everything, so he might as well do some beating while he's at it, and he asks who wants to get their shit rocked first. Gar-young recognizes him, and the guy gets helped up, asking who that is. Gar-young tells him, and the guy says this must be the brat that's been snooping around their village. Shoho says that he knows that he was being followed the entire time, and that he knows all about him. The guy calls him insolent, telling him to watch his mouth, and Shoho says that he's trash who tricks innocent people into signing slave contracts. He's a beast driven by greed who's abandoned his humanity, and he's a coward who gets scared the moment he hears that the Union Merchant Guild is coming and sends people to follow them. And everybody starts flaming the guy one after the other, and he starts getting pissed. Shoho asks Eungem what she'll do if somebody like him tries to confess his feelings, and she says that she'll beat him with a bamboo stick immediately. Bro snaps, telling his men to capture Shoho. As they start brandishing their weapons while pointing them forward, they charge directly towards him. Shoho doesn't even move an inch. As Eungem steps up, instantly defeating one of them, saying it's been a while since she's stretched. She makes light work of another by hitting him in the face, following up with a knee to the other, and she's just making her way through them with complete ease. And she even finishes the final one with a roundhouse kick into stomping his head straight down into the floor. They're all surprised by how strong she is, and Shoho says that now that the trash has been taken out, they should talk. The other dude starts pushing Gar-young, telling him to go stop him, and Gar-young says that he doesn't know martial arts. And the dude just wonders where the hell Bai-young is, because this is why he was hired. Bai-young asks if they call for him, as he appears in the doorway. Shoho realizes this might be a little bad. The dude asks where the hell he's been all this time, and if he's not going to earn his keep. Bai-young asks what he means, because it doesn't seem like he can even pay the signing fee, and he's going to change the terms. If he gives him 10 times the signing fee, he'll get him out of the situation now. The guy calls him a thug, but agrees to it. Bai-young starts to unsheath his blade, and Shoho can tell that they need to dodge as he yells, telling everybody to get out of the way. As it starts to release a green aura, it cuts through a lot of the Silverwind members, and Palgap cowards behind them. As blood starts to soar through the air, and he begins smiling evilly, he and Shoho begin clashing blades, and Shoho asks how dare he lay a hand on his members. Bai-young says that he could try buying him with money too. While they're fighting, Gar-young and the other guy talk, saying surely he won't lose to a brat. Gar-young says that despite how Bai-young looks, he's a real martial master who is first rate, and he's still young, so if he encounters a fortuitous opportunity, he might even reach the peak realm. The other guy says he has no idea how strong first rate or peak realm is, and the guy explains that there are countless martial masters who spend their whole lives training only to remain second rate. If you're first rate, you're more than qualified to lead a small sect, and he asks how he cannot know any of this. The guy instantly starts cheering on Bai-young, saying to teach that punk a lesson. As he and Shoho continue trading blows, they now create some distance from each other, and Shoho says that he doesn't need to buy him with money, because if all he's worth is money, then he can handle him. Bai-young says that he's just a spoiled noble kid who needs to watch his mouth, or he's going to seriously regret it, as he charges in with a thrust, which Shoho avoids. They then continue dancing around the room with attacks, and Bai-young seems impressed, as he starts to counter Shoho's attack with a knee to his chest. It hits him, but Shoho doesn't just take it without returning, as he hits him in the chest too. They then distance themselves from one another, and he says that he thought he was just some flailing brat, but it turns out he's got some real skills. He then pulls out a gourd, telling him that he needs to listen, as this world isn't so easy to survive in, as he throws it towards Shoho. Shoho cuts it, only for it to splash his eyes, and he wonders that this is fire liquor, because his eyes are burning so he can't open them. He doesn't know what to do in this situation, but he needs to come up with something. He can't see anything, and it's really uncomfortable. He then realizes something, as Myung-hyun told him that it is a technique inspired by the fierce chill of the winter sea. This mysterious depth is like that of the ocean, and the more he masters it, the more he'll feel discomfort. People with impure or dark energy, like those from the demonic cult or the dark faction nearby. Shoho says that doesn't sound like a good thing, because he doesn't want to feel discomfort. Myung-hyun says it's actually the contrary, it's a huge advantage. When someone harbors killing intent, they can't hide it from his energy detection. At a certain level, he could even perceive their movements or position, and in his past life, he never reached that level of sensitivity. The stage just before the peak realm, when he's still first rate, and once he reaches that, he'll start to read his opponent's movements and position, so he should not slack off on his training. One day, when he's on the edge of life and death, that finely honed energy detection will become a weapon greater than any blade. Shoho begins releasing his aura, saying that even though it's only a little bit, he can feel what's going on, because he's been training with all of his strength every single day. An attack starts to come towards the side of his head, which he ducks underneath, saying that that was one simple sword strike. He counters with an elbow to the chest, causing Bayoung to spit up, and then he distances himself. Shoho says he's so fast he almost missed it. Bayoung asks how he knew he was going for his back. Shoho thinks to himself that this guy's swordplay is incredibly basic for his level of internal energy, and says that if he's curious then he can pay him. As information doesn't come for free, Bayoung starts to laugh while getting annoyed. Meanwhile, Palgap and Ongam are tending to the Silverwind members, stopping them from bleeding out. Nobody's saving this last guy though, and she notices this, saying they're short on hands, and that Dooyi is in full panic. She wonders who she can get, as we see the head of the Hazel group starting to leave, and she yells, telling him to get his ass over here now. He and Garyong both immediately fold at her and run over. Meanwhile, Bayoung's leaping at Shoho with an attack. Shoho sidesteps, causing him to fall onto the floor. Shoho says it's time to wrap this up. Bayoung says he keeps dodging all of his attacks as if he's predicting them, and it's been a while since things have been this fun for him. He throws his sword onto the ground, and Shoho asks if he's given up. Bayoung says it's actually the opposite. The reason he used his sword was because he didn't want to stain his martial arts doing dirty work, and that he finally acknowledges his strength, and from now on he'll face him seriously. Shoho says this truly explains why a first-rate martial artist has such dull swordsmanship, and now it makes sense. He throws his sword over to Palgap, telling him to take care of it. Ongam asks what the hell he's doing. Shoho formally introduces himself, saying that since he uses fists and palms, he shall face some of the martial arts he's learned as well. In his previous life, martial arts were just a means to survive, and he thought that wouldn't change, as he tells him to teach him something good, calling him a senior. Bayoung says he likes him, and he'll teach him a lesson, but now Shoho says it's different. In this life, more than anything, he wants to become far stronger than before. Bayoung charges in with his palms, using an attack called the Hyun Twin Viper Strike. Shoho starts to back up from it, but it still grazes his cheek, and he says that Bayoung's cocky attitude is gone. As Shoho and Bayoung begin fighting, Bayoung says that he can tell now they're fighting, that he's definitely better than Shoho when it comes to combat, so how is it that he's able to deflect all of his strikes, and he cannot land a singular hit? As Shoho dodges under an attack, rearing his fist back, Bayoung says that it isn't his vision that's better. He has not even learned the martial arts of his sect, so just how was he able to dodge and return an attack so cleanly, as he hits him straight in the face? Bayoung looks pissed, and we get a flashback to him looking up at birds circling him when he was starving to death as a child, and a man approaches him saying that he has a look in his eyes that no child should ever have, saying that if he does not wish to die here, he should come with him. We see a monk giving him warm eyes. Sometime later, we see an older Bayoung, and a man's asking why he's doing this. Bayoung says that his client asked him to, and the man says that he'll pay more than his client, asking how much it was. Bayoung asks how much he could give him. His master was pissed that he's using martial arts against the weak, saying that if he intends to keep going down this path, he should get out of his sight, and never appear in front of him again. Young tells the man that he came here to say his goodbyes anyways, and the old man starts coughing up blood. Young tells him that he was born on the streets, and this is all he's learned, and if it's so wrong to make a living with violence, the monk, disappointed, calls him a fool, saying his martial arts have no value and no soul, because his fists only rely upon greed, and one day he will learn what he means. Sometime later, the guy that he had up against the wall is telling him that he doesn't know how scary the world can be, because he's been the one beating people up until now, and that even some back alley merchants that don't know martial arts can work together to fight back, and he shouldn't be too sad when he's in hell, that this is just karma. That's not how that turned out, because Young beat the hell out of every single one of them, and sat atop them, looking down at his fist. He starts to wonder if he should just kill them all, but he recalls his master telling him not to use martial arts against the weak. So he spots a blade, he picks it up, and decides that he can just use this instead. But then he was approached by the guy from the Hazel group, saying that the guy was getting on his nerves, and it looks like he took care of him, asking if he wanted to work for him. Young asked how much he can give him, and that Young accepted it, because he just wanted to live. He wanted to live a life of wealth and power while he was at it too. He starts to feel frustrated and releases killing intent, saying that as if he would die in a place like this, releasing a green aura. Shoho can tell this will be bad, as he starts dodging the attack, which is called the snake engulfing iron bird. He dodges the first motion, but just like a snake, he contorts his body, instantly rotating in for the next attack towards Shoho's blind spot. Shoho puts his arm up, and sidesteps the attack as it goes right by his face. Young smiles, saying it's in, and now's his chance. As Shoho starts to backpedal, Young closes the gap, with both of his palms ready to use his finishing move. But we see ice on his foot, causing him to get stuck in place, and his attack lands just shy of Shoho's face. And he recalls the monk saying that he's only lived with greed. As Shoho starts to imbue his fist with his own aura, preparing for the final hit, Young's master's words start to echo throughout his head, and he says that his master was right. As Shoho hits him across the face, he says in the end, his fists were meaningless, as he gets sent flying backward. He begins coughing up blood. Shoho says that shit hurt. He sighs, thanking him for the lesson. A little later, Dewey says that his family is greatly indebted to him and the Union Merchant Group, and he doesn't know how he can repay such a favor. Shoho says that he just did it for his own sake too, and Dewey asks what he means. It was so he could end the Hazel Oak Merchant Group's evil history. And they initially denied their wrongdoings, but once he showed the officer everything, and how their gold was fake, they were immediately taken away. In his past life, he was beheaded for using counterfeit currency, so he knew that the gold he used was fake. Thus, the incident was resolved nicely, and Young disappeared amidst the chaos. He tells Dewey that he's just an ordinary merchant too, and he helped out because it's gonna help him in the long run. Dewey says he's not sure what he can do for him, but he'll do whatever he can. Shoho says he likes his attitude. He wants his son so he can offer a contract. Dewey still has no idea what he's talking about, but Shoho nods, saying that it would be best to head out. They head to where their worried children are, and even his wife is there now. And Shoho asks Mill if he hasn't forgotten their promise yet, as he looks at Shoho with very warm eyes, and Shoho smiles. Later that night, elsewhere, a woman is pouring a drink, and the woman accepting the drink is Yo, I'm assuming, asking if Jiangju went to the merchant group. And we see the woman she's talking to, as her face has a red mark across her face. She begins to be informed, and she continues sipping her drink, saying that's pretty interesting. So here are my personal thoughts. So far, there's not a whole lot that's happened yet, but honestly, the pacing feels pretty solid. It's got that slow burn energy, really focused on building up the characters, fleshing out the world, and setting the foundation for how he's gonna turn his already successful family into a straight up merchant monopoly. The overarching plot still feels a bit lost, like, we haven't seen even a hint of the White Heaven group, but it's still hella early. We just gotta let it cook. In terms of character development, there hasn't been much yet, but what we do have is good character growth, which I'll always take. The combat probably one of the weaker spots, but it's still solid enough to not pull me out of it. I really enjoy slower paced series. I don't always need brainless, mind-numbing action. If the plot isn't driving it, all the action just feels kind of hollow. My favorite series are the ones that blend good story with good action. And while this one doesn't always hit on the action front, yeah, Some of the panels are kind of lackluster. When it does slow things down and go for the more drawn out fights, it really works. The moves have intention. The hits have weight. That last fight sequence especially, it felt like everything had impact. If they keep going with that style, it'll keep getting better and better. As for the overarching plot, the way I see it, his whole mission is to stop his family from going bankrupt again. He wants to gather enough money, enough capital, to basically steamroll White Heaven, maybe even the Murim Alliance eventually. I love how he's taking initiative too. Fixes his body, learns martial arts, starts grinding to hopefully maybe overcome the peak stage, all while playing fantasy Elon Musk, just without the Mr. Fantastic build. I just hope the antagonists make an appearance soon, so we get a sense of what we're up against. I'll do a full breakdown of the character development later on when there's more to chew on, but for now I'm vibing with the cast. There's a weird charm to how everyone kind of likes Shoho. You can tell he's been a genuinely good dude his whole life, and people just probably feel a bit of sympathy for him being sickly. Eungam's great too, super observant, and it's fun watching her be all suspicious of him. Jinho's had some minor growth, and his dad actually seems to trust him. Palgap's just a pig, but in a way that's fun to watch. Like I said, I'll break down way more on the character front later. Anyway, that's where I'm at with it for now. I'll yap more about whatever I missed when we do the extended breakdown later. If you've watched till the end, comment, Zoolander, to let me know. Subscribe for more videos like this, leave a like or a comment to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.